Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again in this YouTube astrological segment. I'm going to be giving you my Aquarius December 2019 horoscope forecast part 2 of 2. And yes, this does apply and pertain to the Sun, Moon, and Ascendant. Anyway, first thing up is as far as December goes, Venus will be in Aquarius from the 20th until the 31st. So the first house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time, well, if you're unattached at this time, Aquarius, you may connect with an Aquarius Sun, Moon, or Ascendant person, or simply one that embodies Aquarius characteristics. It may be a person that you may have known from your early childhood. It could be a childhood sweetheart. This could be somebody that might be instrumental in new beginnings. And it might be somebody that really impacts your outlook on life in general at this time, or plays a role in your appearance. And um, you might at this time as well. This could be about a lot of self-love, Aquarius, where you love and being enamored with a lot of your qualities, such as being very ingenious, innovative, eclectic, unorthodox, unconventional, selfless, being very humanitarian, some very being considerate. It could also be a time too where you might be spending more money on things for yourself, on your appearance, and maybe being more attractive than usual and having a very eclectic taste in clothing and appearance. You might adopt an unorthodox look. You may have that anyway, but it might be spending money to even look more eclectic, more unorthodox, and maybe you actually appear at this time, and spending money on Aquarius things for yourself, such as computers and electronic gadgets, new technology, even things connected with astrology, perhaps. So, anyway, next thing up. Well, Mars will be in Scorpio still, so the 10th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time, well, one way this may manifest, this could be a time where the situation with the dominant parent, authority figures, people prominent in your career may be more contentious and acrimonious than usual. There may be arguments connected with jealousy. There might be some very vindictive and vengeful anger directed at these people at this time, and maybe even toward you by these people. It could also be a time, if you're unattached at this time, Aquarius, you may connect with a Scorpio Sun, Moon, or Ascendant person, or simply one that embodies Scorpio traits that might figure prominently in your stature in life, your career, attaining success. It could be someone prominent in your career. It could be somebody that might even be in some kind of business, or an older person as well, since we are talking about the 10th house, and that, of course, 10th house in astrology does correspond with Capricorn. So anyway, could also be a time too where you might be putting a lot of energy and vitality into Scorpio, like a career endeavors such as embalming, astrology, supernatural, the occult, um, or even locksmithing, recycling, things connected with transformation such as rebuilding a vehicle. Could also be a time where you're putting a lot of energy into doing really getting to the bottom of things, going beyond subterfuge and superficiality with people at this time. People prominent in your career. It could also be the dominant parent, which is often the father. It could also be a time where you might be coming maybe angry, or more so than usual, over matters connected with your reputation and your public image, and maybe even trying to put energy into getting to the bottom of those matters as well. Anyway, next thing up is, well, Jupiter will be in Capricorn still, so the 12th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time, well, one way this may manifest and pan out. Now, this could be a time where, I mean, you're talking about the 12th house in astrology, and house of restrictions in Jupiter. It might be a time where your exuberance and enthusiasm might be a little bit suppressed and inhibited in some cases. To keep in mind, as I've stated in previous videos, Jupiter can also be rather paradoxical. It could be very strongly benign and benevolent, but it could also have a tendency to enlarge and expand. Now, in some cases, it can enlarge and expand certain maybe despondency and sadness, connection with your limitations, or even a depressing mental illness in some isolated cases, and even depressing matters, perhaps even dealing with maybe hidden adversaries at this time, or But at this time, remember that Jupiter is also very fortuitous, so it could also be very fortuitous for conquering hidden adversaries at this time, perhaps through the use of restraint and discipline. Let those enemies just kind of, those people that the impersonators may just simply trip themselves up. If you're suspicious that a friend is really, or somebody that's really an enemy is impersonating themselves as a friend, basically, this could be an opportune time where they might, their own actions may reveal themselves to you. And it could be also at this time as well, where this could be very good in terms of, I mean, you're talking about Jupiter in astrology. It could even be good. It could even be a lot of exuberance and enthusiasm, doing something that could be Capricorn related in solitude and seclusion. I mean, it could be like information technology. It could be maybe a start of some kind of dentistry. You might have like a private dentistry or anything Capricorn uh, related at this time. Accounting, like an at-home accounting business, for example, could be another thing. But also, it could be a time too where this could be very good for as far as doing a lot of things. For Jupiter, you're talking about Jupiter in the 12th house in astrology, very good at this time, perhaps for dealings with matters with limitations and restrictions, but it could also, in some cases, enlarge Capricorn type limitations and restrictions, such as matters with the career, ambitions. It could even be uh, doing things, responsibilities, anything that could be Capricorn related. At this time, it could enlarge some kind of responsibilities to where your limitations or even issues that could be Capricorn related. Again, something connected with the career or even maybe even the father at this time. So anyway, next thing up. Saturn will still be in Capricorn, so the 12th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time, well, one way this may manifest, this could be a time where you're a lot more introverted and introspective at this time, Aquarius. This could be a time where the unknown may put you in a strong state of fear or trepidation at this time. In some cases, this could actually be the loss of a father. I have this placement natally, and I lost my father at the age of 3. It could be a time where you could be more reclusive, more so than usual. Might have difficulty letting others into your life, but it could also manifest in a lot of laborious work and solitude and seclusion. Sometimes it could be something government related, since we're talking about Capricorn energy, and something that you show a lot of diligence with at this time, or anything else Capricorn related, such as accounting or general labor. It could be a time where you might be doing, like if you're working on some night shift, doing a lot more. If you're in retail, you might be doing more night stocking if that's your position as an example, or some general mundane type work, or even information technology and solitude and seclusion. That could also be a time where you might be involved working very industriously on matters with people that are less fortunate than yourself, such as the homeless, the impoverished, the oppressed, and the hungry. But it's also a time too where there may be some more difficulties with hidden adversaries at this time, and sometimes even the father or even older people might be hidden enemies at this time. So just be careful at this time. And also about bearing sorrows in solitude and seclusion is another way this may manifest. Well, next thing up is Uranus. Excuse me. Uranus will still be in Taurus, so the 4th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. At this time, you might be dealing with certain unusual, stubborn, obstinate behavior with home family members, people you're close to home with. It could be also the less dominant parent, which is often the mother. You might feel like a situation, your home life, may be a little bit more erratic and sporadic than usual. This could be a time too where you might be dealing with friendships at this time. It could be Taurus friendships. They could be Taurus Sun, Moon, or Ascendant people, or simply ones that embody Taurus characteristics. Might figure more prominently in that latter part of your life at this time, if you're in it, or maybe even in preparation for it. But at this time to also guard against possible electrical situations. So I'm getting shocks because Uranus can be connected with electricity, but it could also be a time when you might be doing something Uranus related out of the home, such as something with astrology, astronomy, aerospace, esoteric subjects, something with computers or electronics at this time. Hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that, I'm back. But anyway, well, excuse me, next thing up is, well, Neptune will still be in Pisces, so the second house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time, you might find yourself at this time, in some cases, making money, doing something Neptune related, such as something with the metaphysical, which includes astrology, spirituality, poetry, dancing, photography, chemistry, pharmaceutical work, something with fantasy, and that wouldn't necessarily exclude writing something about fantasy. I would see that more with Neptune in the third house, but it could be doing something with special effects, illusion. Also at this time, guard against being, not necessarily being deceptive or duplicitous, but being suckered by con men and people that are duplicitous and deceptive in monetary matters. Guard against fraudulent money-making schemes as far as getting involved in them at this time. Also be very careful. You might need to investigate more, you might need to investigate more things a little more thoroughly. If somebody's offering you some kind of investment or they're talking about some money-making scheme, make sure, or plan, I should say, make sure it's legitimate and investigate the company very thoroughly. It could be at a time too where your funds, your monetary situation might be dissolving or dissipating. Even as far as self-esteem and self-worth goes, that could be also something you might feel might be dissolving at this point in time. But at the same time, it could be a time where you might show a lot of self-sacrifice in monetary matters and matters with your possessions and your resources at this time, Aquarius. Last but not least, Pluto will be in Capricorn, so the 12th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time, well, in some cases you might be dealing with some power struggles and solitude and seclusion, merely in your private life. It could be at this time too where you're really trying very hard to gain power and control over hidden adversaries, people that might be impersonating themselves as friends and they're really not, and they're really your hidden adversaries. It could be a time too where, looking at this as well, Aquarius, it could be a time where you might be doing something Pluto related in solitude, in seclusion. It could be doing something like something with the occult, the astrology, supernatural, recycling, something with transformation like rebuilding vehicles. It could also be a time too where you might find, in some isolated cases too, remember that Pluto can be connected with surgery. The 12th house is associated with the feet. So it can be something as far as surgery, like on the feet at this time as well. And it could be dealing with power struggles with an aunt or an uncle, or even the death of one in some cases at this time, Aquarius. And sometimes this could be about Plutonian people being hidden adversaries at this time. So those are some ways, and might be, in some cases, could be limitations, something sexually at this time, since Pluto can be associated with that, or something connected with the zodiac sign Pluto, and another body part, such as something with the pelvic or reproductive area. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment, and until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.